Did you know that John the Baptist lived in the desert, ate locusts and wild honey for food? Does this mean Jesus wants me to be weird, eat crazy things, or even move to the middle of nowhere? Hi, I'm Alex Ennis with Simplify Strategies, and this is part one of our devotional series, March to the Cross. At Simplify Strategies, we give God-inspired solutions for your personal challenges to help you find your path forward. Today we begin with part one of our devotional series, March to the Cross. During this series, we will look at 25 unique persons and things Jesus met on the way to the cross and resurrection. My hope is that the Bible will come alive to you in ways you've not experienced before. We want this journey to bring you face to face with the people and things Jesus met so you can be confident in your own unique relationship with Jesus. These unique people and even things are going to help you find your path forward. So let's just jump right in. It won't take you long today for you to realize just how unique our first person is. We find him in Mark chapter 1, verses 1 through 8. This is the good news about Jesus the Messiah, the Son of God. It began just as the prophet Isaiah had written, "Look, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, and he will prepare your way. He is a voice shouting in the wilderness, 'Prepare the way for the Lord's coming. Clear the road for him.'" This messenger was John the Baptist. He was in the wilderness and he preached that people should be baptized to show that their sins were forgiven and that they had turned to God. All of Judea, including all the people of Jerusalem, went out to see and hear John. When they confessed their sins, he baptized them in the Jordan River. His clothes were woven with coarse camel hair, and he wore a leather belt around his waist. For food, he ate locusts and wild honey. John announced, "Someone is coming soon who is greater than I am, so much greater that I'm not even worthy to stoop down like a slave and untie the straps of his sandals. I baptize you with water, but he will baptize you with the Holy Spirit." You know, if you're trying to find your path forward, I think you first have to ask some questions. Number one is this: am I on the right path? How sad life would be if we found out the path we were on was the wrong path. Secondly, if God has a path for me, how do I find it? Your path forward takeaway is this: start with a yes. I remember being in Knoxville, Tennessee a few years ago with some friends. We went to the downtown portion of Knoxville. They've remade that downtown like so many cities have done. They designed it to be a gathering place and kind of a cool place to hang out. There were all kinds of shops, and they also had some street performers. I will never forget one of the street performers yelling out, "I'm here to give you your daily dose of weird." Here's what I can tell you: he didn't disappoint, and I've never forgotten him nor his phrase. One of the unique people Jesus met was John the Baptist. They actually had some history together, but some of what people have heard isn't quite correct. Many have heard that John the Baptist was Jesus' cousin. Well, the Bible only tells us that John's mother and Jesus' mother are kinsmen. They certainly have a close relationship, as Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Elizabeth, the mother of John, celebrate each other's pregnancies. We won't get into much more of that today, except to note that Jesus and John knew each other. John's appearance certainly made people take note. He wore clothes made from coarse camel hair, and you thought dressing up for church in your good clothes was tough. Or if you had a dress code at work, can you imagine John being in charge of policies for your dress code? John's palate was also a little questionable. Locusts and honey. Talk about weird. I mean, I love honey on almost everything, but I definitely draw the line at locusts. Why is it that I think that John and the guy in Knoxville would get along so well? Here's a path forward key question. Do you think a big God would ask you to make big decisions so you can join him in a big future? Now let me repeat that. Do you think a big God would ask you to make big decisions so you can join him in a big future? Here are some helps for finding your path forward. Make the decision in advance to tell Jesus yes to whatever he asks. The men and women who experienced the greatness of God were usually doing small menial tasks when God showed up. David was taking some meals to his brothers in the battlefield and then faced Goliath. Moses was tending sheep in the desert when he encountered the burning bush. Start with a yes. Secondly, find your path by clearing the path. What are your rough places? What obstacles do you have between you and Jesus? If you're not sure what they are, ask him. He will tell you. He wants you on the right path and wants to be able to lead you on that path. Third, choose not to live a small story. Does that mean if, we live a big story, it means fame and fortune? No, many actually live a small story. John is telling us that if we want to live a big story with a big God, that we must clear out the things that will prevent us from doing so. The big story is the unique purpose that God has, will call you to. Finding your path forward may be as simple as just giving God a yes to the most menial of tasks. Allow him to position you and propel you down your right path. Just like David, just like Moses, just like John. Except I would put in a request for softer clothes and no locusts. So here's your question of reflection to find your path forward. What are some of the decisions you need to make today to lurch you out of your small story and into God's big story? In the comments below, and you can keep it vague if you would like, let us know so we can pray for you and encourage one another. I also want to encourage you to share with someone today this devotional. You need people around you encouraging you and holding you accountable. It may even be the devotional they need to help them find their path forward comes from you. Thanks again, and we will see you next time as we meet the crazy man Jesus met at church. Oh, you've met some crazies that go to church too? Well, come see what Jesus did with the ultra crazy guy at the church Jesus went to.